Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Adaoma Onwukaeme, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, please do not forget to click on the subscribe button. And if you are my constant follower, thank you for showing me so much love and supporting my channel. Okay, today I have a very important topic to talk about. Okay, now, for most of you, you are quite aware of the happenings in Nigeria, the boarding school saga. And, many people have read a lot of opinions. Is boarding school the best? Why send your child to boarding school? Is that not bad parenting? A good parent shouldn't send their children to boarding school, and on and on and on. Now, the question is boarding school bad or good? Should I send my child to a boarding school, and at what age should I send my child to a boarding school? If these are questions that you have, I have some answers for you. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Like you can see in the title of the topic, is boarding school ideal? Is boarding school good for my child? Should I send my child to a boarding school? Before I go deep into this topic, let's just ask ourselves, why boarding school? What is a boarding school? Now, I made a little bit of research, and I found out that during the British Empire, where we had missionaries and people working in the military, they sent their words to a boarding school because they didn't want their children to, be on the move, like constantly moving from one location to another. So to give their children some form of stability, they sent them to boarding school while the parents, moved from one country, from one city to another. And I think that's the origin, that's the idea behind a boarding school, just to give your child some form of stability. Now, I don't know how long. I'll try to make this video short, but if it's long, I'm going to break it into two parts. Now, I am a product of both the day system and the boarding school system. For my first 3 junior years, just one, for Nigerians, you understand, just 1 to JSS3, I was a day student. So I used to come from home to school, and then we lived, for those of you who know Lagos very well, we live very close to Onwukaeme. They call that place Mebamu. I don't know if most of you should know that area. So Onwukaeme, then down Mebamu before you get to Agbara and the other. Yeah. So we lived there. So my school was in Navy Town. I attended Nigerian Navy secondary school. Oh, the old Navy boys and girls in the house. Yeah. Yeah. So I attended Nigerian Navy secondary school. So I was a day student for the first 3 years of my secondary school. And then for the last 3 years of my secondary school, I was a boarding student. Why should I put my child in a boarding school? Now, now parenting is serious business. Let's get that fact out. Parenting is serious business, and there's no one like this is the way to parent. But then there are basics, their foundation. Love and respect is the foundation, right? For every parenting, you love your child, and then there's a mutual respect between the parent and the child, from parent to child, child to parent. Then let us get that out in the air. But every child is dynamic, and every family is dynamic. So you cannot dish out, this is how you have to raise your child. This is how you have to deal with your child. So for every situation comes with different tactics. Now, what occasion warrants me sending to my child to a boarding school? Now, for some parents, let's start with some parents are single parents, and for whatever reasons, maybe divorce, widowed, or whatever, or just anything, whatever the reason is. So such kind of parents who could be working in, or who could always be on transit, or a business person, traveling from one city to another, and then will not want to leave their child alone at home, right? And will not want to also leave their child in the care of relatives, because sometimes you really can't tell how relatives would deal with their children, and so they send their children off to a boarding school. Now, there are also different reasons. The school you want your child to, or the school your child wants to attend, could be in a different city than where you're a resident, right? And then you have to send your child to, school in that city, so that the child doesn't have to be on transit every time. Or you could even be in the same city, but for transportation issues, your child is in a boarding school. So there are different reasons why a child will be in a boarding school. Now, are there advantages to a child being in a boarding school? I would say one, there are advantages, because number one, in a boarding school, the boarding school system is kind of regimented. There are is that the right word to use? But yeah, like, you wake up in the morning, there's time to wake up, there's time to leave the hostel for school, have your breakfast, there's time for lunch, there's time for dinner. And then if you miss out on any of that, you're gonna use it, you are to blame. So if a child learns to manage his or her time effectively, because you have to wake up early, have your bath before the house mistress comes, arrange your bed must be laid, and then dress properly, your uniform, your clothes must be ironed properly, washed, and then you have to get out with your books, correct books for the day, to the dining area in the morning to have your breakfast, and then you must finish your breakfast on time to go for morning assembly. And then for morning assembly, you go to your classes. After class, after class, the school ends, you have to go for lunch, and then have a shower, go back to the hostel, have a shower, have siesta, and then prepare for afternoon prep, right? Come out for afternoon prep, and then have a little time to play games, and then go back again for dinner, and then go for night prep, and then there's night out. So you see, it's regimented. So a child in a boarding school system will be able to manage their time effectively. To consider a boarding school, just to buttress the first point, is that it teaches your child responsibility. In addition to learning how to manage their time, right? They're responsible, because everything depends on them. They don't have to wait for mommy now to wash their socks, and mommy to iron their clothes, or the house get to iron their uniform. They don't have to wait for mommy to get them lunch or breakfast. They are responsible for their own breakfast. I mean, getting to the dining hall to eat their breakfast. So it teaches your children, or your child learns to be responsible. So it provides that platform for your child to grow and become a responsible adult. In addition, it's like a preparatory ground for college. So for most students, after the secondary school, they move to college. So living outside, living on their own, living without, like the parents, it kind of prepares them for what the life in college will look like. Because most times in college, you get to live in places far away from your parents' reach. So it's kind of a preparatory ground for college. It's also, I think it's also an opportunity to build a community, build long time friendships. Now, for many people, I don't fall into that category, because most of my friends, I still keep in touch with some of my friends from the boarding school, but that long term friendship isn't there. But I know some of my classmates who have been friends since boarding school and are still friends to date. So friends, they know everything, details about themselves, everything. So there are people who fall into that category. So it could help you help your child build long-term friendship, And I also think that it's also a platform to build resilience, right? It's the opportunity for fewer distractions, so your child has an ample time to study on their own. Unlike when a child is a day student, he goes from the house to school, and from school he commutes back home, he's tired, and he has house chores to do, right? And then he starts to read. So, but in the boarding school system, the child basically does nothing apart from taking care of themselves. They don't cook, they have to wash their own clothes, right? But they don't even wash their dishes. So you just eat, have your bath, go to class, make sure you study. So it's like it provides a platform for fewer distraction and ample time to study. Like I said, everything has its advantage and disadvantage. So why shouldn't you consider putting your child in a boarding school? Why shouldn't you consider going to boarding school as a teenager? Number one, I think lack of personal space. For people who love their personal space, you'll find that a boarding school is not a good fit for you, because in a boarding school, you got to share a room with more than 10, 15 people. So, and I don't know, I'm just going to speak from my own experience. I don't know how other boarding school look like, but in the boarding school I went to, we had double bunks and we had different rooms depending on the size of the room. So you could have people ranging from 10 to 20 people in one room. So like there's no personal space. So it's that you don't get to see, you don't get to see your loved ones every time. You don't get to see your mom. You don't get to see your dad every time, except maybe on visiting day or the PTA day if you happen to be in school, or just, just happenstance. So you don't get to see your parents every time. And another disadvantage to boarding school for those students who like some form of accountability, you could spend your time, just gisting, right? Instead of studying, or instead of, having time to rest. So these are a few, another disadvantage is that a child can pick up bad habits, right? Because a boarding school is a place where we have children from different homes come together to live. And so a child could be negatively or positively influenced depending on the case. But one disadvantage is that a child could be negatively influenced. If you're still watching this video up until this time, please don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Now, at what age should my child attend a boarding school? Now, this is a very dicey question because I don't believe there's a specific age for, of course, a child to be matured enough to attend a boarding school, but there are different cases, right? But if your boarding school is not for everyone, let me say this loud and clear, a boarding school is not for everyone. And that's why it's important that as a parent, you should know your child. You should know your child, and that's why it's important to build a relationship. So whenever I talk to parents, whenever I always talk about building a relationship, you will never know your child if you don't have a relationship with your child. So if your child is introverted, a boarding school is not the ideal place for them. Introverted child is less likely to thrive in a boarding school. Like I mentioned earlier, there's no qualifying age for a child to go to boarding school, because there could be several reasons why a child could be in a boarding facility. But the most important thing, like I said before, relationship, and then second thing is communication. Now, if a child is going to go to a boarding school, there should be communication. It should not be the sole decision of a parent to send a child to boarding school. It should not be a form of punishment or a form of character rebuilding to send a child to boarding school. Any child who's been sent to boarding school, it must be what's the word now? The parent and the child must come to a compromise. It must not be solely the idea or the push from the parents. A child has a say also in the decision to go to a boarding facility. Make your child part of the decision process. After all, your child is the one going to the boarding school, not you. So why not involve the child who is going to the boarding school in that decision process? The child has a say in the things that matters to his or her life, right? A child has a say in his own life. So do not sideline your child. Make your child part of the decision process. If your child is still at that stage where they are still tied to your apron, where they still look up to you they've not weaned from you, so to say, you may have to reconsider your decision to send your child to a boarding facility. I want to reiterate that a boarding facility is not a place you send your child to, get on good behavior. It's not a form of punishment. No. If you're sending your child for those reasons, then I think you have the wrong reason, right? Good. Now, people are like, oh, why send your child to boarding school? It's bad parenting. Boarding school corrupt, and on and on. But I have this to say, for every child in a boarding facility, they did not fall from heaven. They all came from a family. And so if you do not do your work as a parent, if you don't do your work as a family, you do not expect teachers or school educators, school management to do your work for you. Parents, teachers, coaches, mentors are co-parents. They are partnering with you as a parent. As a parent, you have the bulk of work to do with your child. Do not outsource the training of your child to parents. Now, before a child goes into a boarding facility, he must have come from a home, right? And then if you do not do the work as a parent from home, I mean, what else do you expect? So let's not blame. Why I don't know why the blame is just on boarding facilities. Let's trace the root cause. The root cause is the upbringing. The root cause is the lack of home training. So if the parents do their work at home and they bring the child to the boarding facility, voila, we have a good educational system. And now this is not to say that the school educated, the school management or the teachers do not have a role to play. No, of course they do have a role to play. But as co-parents, they do not have the sole responsibility to raise a child. So is boarding school the right choice for you, for your child? You have the answer. Please, if you're to send your child to a boarding school, make it a mutual decision. Make your child part of the decision-making process. Still watching this video up until this time, please don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Yes, it's true that children pick up lots of bad habits and lots of dirty habits from the boarding school. But also I remember even as a day student, I saw a lot of day students wreak havoc. A lot of day students who were involved in cult activities. Day students, a lot of day students who will not come to school, who will leave their home, and then tell their parents they're going to school, but will never get to the school, but will stop somewhere because Mami Market and then play games, do lots of nonsense, and will not come to school. So evil is not just prevalent only in the boarding school. See, evil is prevalent in the world, and it's not just in a boarding school. Any child can be susceptible to evil, and that's why it's important to do the work as a parent. Recount an experience I had when I was in boarding school. So in boarding school, when you go to boarding school, you come with your provisions, right? Your conflict, good one, and the rest of it. And then I think that was mid-term break. I went home and I see the girls in my room. So they had like 3 sets, 4 sets. I was just like murmuring and grumbling. And like I usually took 1 set and the rest of it. And my mom used that as a teaching moment for me. She taught me contentment. She taught me to be contented with what I have. She didn't just like, hey, look at you, ungrateful child. No, she taught me to be contented with what I have. And then she did not like, oh, okay, I'm going to get you 3. No, you see, she would have taken it extreme, 2 extremes. Either get me 3, go. Even though she didn't have the money or she was not able to get the money, just find a way to get me, extra 3 or what, or should have shouted at me and shut me up. But she used the opportunity to teach me contentment. So parents, and then I went back to school, contented with what I had. And sometimes when I even asked for, extra provisions, she was like, I know you have shared what you have, Abby. You have shared what you have, Abby, because she knew that it's natural to me. I'm a giver. It's like we are givers in our family. And so sometimes when I asked for something, she knows that she didn't just finish this thing now. She must have given to people who came to beg her, So what I said that story to say this, that even when your children go to boarding school, when they come back, talk with them, let them open up with you, let them tell you what's happening with them, right? And then use whatever is happening as a teaching moment. Now, the story about this school, Dowen College, and the rest of it, and I don't want to just say that, I don't want to be too forward, but I want to believe that those children who did that to that boy either are from abusive homes, their parents have abused them, or their parents are bullies, and they have learned behavior. Children, see, it's not just what you say. Children learn from how you act. How do you treat your housemate? How do you treat your workers, people working with you? How do you treat people working in your home? Your children are learning, they are seeing it, and they're taking that behavior. And then how do you even treat your children? And so sometimes I have a video about bullying. I'll link it in the description box. Those children who committed atrocities have learned that behavior. It did not just fall on them. It's been there. They brought it from the homes. And that's why I always say that whatever happens in a boarding school is a result of what happens in the homes of these children. So let's take the blame off boarding school and take the blame to where it rightly belongs. To a boarding school, what was your experience like? Do you recommend, people attending boarding school? Please share with us in the comments. I hope that this video has been helpful. This video has been useful. I've been able to shed some light, right, with this video. I hope I have been able. And please don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Till I come your way next time, keep living intentional. Bye for now.